Hello everybody, this is Bill, and had another question on the unit, so I'm going to answer it. The What I've done is using the charger, and you can see that it's drawing energy from the battery right now, and now it's drawing it from power. It's clicking back and forth. And I set it up that way to pulse the battery with a load. Okay, that's pretty simple. All right. So anyway, y'all seen that before. That's my 555 charger, and what's nice about that is that it'll charge up, over 100 volts worth of batteries in series. It's a pretty cool device, but we're just working with a 12 volt battery right now. And anyway, this is the inverter, and this is the setup I was telling you about. You can see the arrow goes to the utility, and we're calling this line the utility, and that's what that means. Okay, this line over here is the load, and that's the inverter. That's what's operating this light. Okay, now then, if I undo this battery here, this connection off the battery here, when the inverter shuts off, then the light's going to shut off. Okay, and that's what I was telling y'all about. So you can go ahead and put that on there directly across. Okay, now it won't cycle off. A lot of people don't know that trick, believe it or not, but all we're interested in is the sample voltage, and this is where the sample voltage is coming from. Okay, the sample voltage is going to the battery, sampling the voltage of the battery. Okay, so let me move these wires out of the way, and I'll show you how to program it to what you want. Okay, when you push the center button once, push it again, that's your low voltage switch. So this makes it minus, and this makes it plus. So I'm going to go ahead and plus my low voltage switch to 12.7, for example. Okay, now you push the middle again, and I didn't do it quite right. Hang on just a minute. Push it. Get the low voltage. I'll set my low voltage to 12.4. Okay, now I'm going to hold it until it goes back. Okay, now I'm going to set my high voltage. My high voltage, and I'm going to set my high voltage for 13. Okay, I'll push and hold that center. Okay, now I've got the voltage range for the low voltage at 12.4. Okay, I've got the high voltage at 13. Okay, and so now it's going to go to 13 volts before it switches back over. It'll actually go to 13.1 when it'll overshoot it by 1/10 of a volt. And it's still drawing from what, the utility or your solar panels or your wind power, whatever you have coming into it for your DC source in this case. Now it's switched over to DC AC, so now it's drawing off the battery. There's no utilities being used, and you can see that nothing's being pulled from the watt meter. Okay, and it comes the default setting comes, the high voltage transfer comes at 13.5, low voltage drops to 11. That's the factory default for that. So we'll just put it back to the factory default. So here we go to that's 13.5, and then you got to push and hold the middle button. Okay, and then the low voltage. See, low voltage is usually 11. Factory. Okay, so now the range will charge all the way up to 13.5. Now it's discharging, so it'll drop down to 11 volts for discharges. Okay. And that's how you set up an inverter to run off 12 volts. Okay. Excuse me, not an inverter, but a transfer switch. And off the remote is just sampling that 12 volts coming off there. That's what that means right there. The voltage that's in here is 12 volts as well, because I've got it going to the battery here, but I've also got a direct jumper going across so my light doesn't flicker on and off. Okay, now I can go ahead and take that jumper off if I want to, and when it drops down to 11 volts, it will turn the light off. So you can do it both ways, but for constant power when you've got shore power going on, that's the way I do it. Now, the only problem is that if the as long as you got 12 volt voltage, that works perfectly. Okay. If you turn the unit off, it's going to go to charge mode. So now it's charging the battery up with the unit off. If you turn that switch off right there, it's charging the batteries at full bore. So you wouldn't need a smart charger to handle that. Okay, that's the crux of setting it up that way, is that you don't have any protection when you're using something like that. Then you're back to dealing with time. So, hope I helped you. Hope you understand what's going on. But like I said, this takeoff right here is set up for automatic configuration for 12 volt batteries, 24 volt batteries, and 48 volt batteries. They skipped over the 36 volt battery range for operation. I imagine you can configure it. I never have. Generally, most of the systems I do are either 24 or 48 volt systems. Very rarely do I even do 12 volt systems on inverters. I'm just demonstrating it like this to show that. You can also use that as a mains transfer switch, and like I said, it'll handle up to 240 volts. It'll handle 50 to 60 amps. If back off, 50 amps would be what you want to 40 volt. And then if you configure it so that's about 11-12K. If you're using 120, it's about 5.5 Okay, transfer switch. So the that's the rig. Now you have to be careful when you're using this type charger to make sure your battery bank is balanced for the day, because you can change this capacitor out. Like I explained before, on the 55 microfarad on 120 volts, that delivers to the battery about 3 amps of current. Okay, and that also makes a good desulfator. Anyway, I hope you guys are having fun, because we are. We'll see you next trip.